succession and family food businesses. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about the family dynamic.
I see it all over the world in these businesses. Rarely is it done well. You need good communication all along the way.
What was your relationship like working with your dad?
Really tough. It was just fucking hard. Took me to a nervous breakdown, but I'd just sit there crying.
The worst decisions I've ever made in my life are emotionally driven.
We used to punch on all the time. What you learn from the parenting that you received is quite often not just what to do, but what not to do.
There was pearls of wisdom my father gave me, and I was thinking, shut up, you stupid old bastard. And fucking hell, he was right.
Oh, fuck, what have I done? Right.
Welcome to Supplied, the podcast about how fresh food gets to us from the people who produce it, move it and cook it. I'm Rob Burton. I've spent over 45 years both growing and then supplying fruit and veg to some of Britain's top restaurants. Now I get the chance to talk to people behind the food we eat. From specialist growers, committed suppliers and Michelin-star kitchens, we'll hear how they got started, why they do what they do and the lessons they've learned along the way. So whether you work in fresh food or just care where yours comes from, you're in the right place. This podcast is made possible by Fresho, the order management platform that helps food suppliers run smoother, faster and smarter operations. Now, let's get into the episode. In today's episode, we're going to do things a little differently and discuss a particular subject, succession and family food businesses. What's special about them, the good, the bad and even the ugly. My guest is James Andronis, who grew up in Melbourne and spent 20 years building and running one of the largest seafood distributors in Australia. James knows the industry back to front through his own experience and is fortunate to have a global network that's provided insights into many family-run food businesses. I think you'll find it an interesting story. James sold out of his business over 10 years ago and is now well into his next adventure as CEO and co-founder of Fresho, the fresh food wholesale order platform that sponsors Supplied. James, welcome. Thanks for taking the time out to come and talk today. As we're going to be talking about family businesses, let's start with your story and the Andronis family and the clams seafood business. So, over to you, sir.
Straight into it, Rob. I like it. Clam Seafoods was a seafood company in Melbourne. My old man and his original business partner, George, they started the business. Was a small distributor to the high-end restaurants in St Kilda. I joined the business. I'd been working there, since I was 12 years old, all the way through school, and went to uni and then joined the business. We built up a really big business, one of Australia's largest seafood businesses. Had another partner come in, so we ended up with 4 partners because we merged with another company.
Did you build that up purely out of organic growth, or was there any acquisitions that were in there?
Yeah, so we bought a business, or merged with a business called Jim Jury Fish Merchant, and Jason Jury, he came on as a partner, so we all had a quarter each.
Yeah.
Jason, his business came in, and that was more of a primary wholesale business, and also supermarket retail distribution business. So that provided a lot of growth. Then we had an export business as well, and then the real growth came from the distribution to the restaurant and food service industry. That created a really big business. A lot of hard work. A lot of we were 7 days a week. We were 16 hours a day. It was pretty crazy period, to get that growth. But you're taking a very small business to a really large business, build a custom built facility over a period of time, and that was amazing. The hard yakka and the blood, sweat, and tears that went into that building that business was incredible. When I look back on it now, honestly, I can't imagine doing that again right now.
Did you enjoy it? Did you enjoy the ride?
Look, I absolutely loved it. And it was one of those, I think it was one of those things where you couldn't have done it if you weren't passionate about what you were doing. And it wasn't just about building the business. It was about, the people we were working with. And at times the dynamic was amazing when between the 4 partners, and my old man and I, obviously family business, but having half of it. So that was pretty cool. But then I was always very passionate about fresh seafood, and the produce. So I'm one of these guys that would walk through the factory floor at 2 a.m. in the morning, and an amazing piece of fresh fresh fish was there, I'd pick it up and have a
You
look at
just
it. It
get
would just make me
excited
smile.
about it. And
It's like,
I'm the same with fresh produce. It's
Yeah.
like sometimes you just see something and you just want to touch it.
Absolutely.
And you want to hold it.
Yep.
And it sounds ridiculous to people who perhaps aren't involved in that sort of way.
that stuff used to make my day. It's like,
absolutely.
it puts a smile on your face, and all the shit that you've got to worry about in these businesses sort of goes away when you see something so beautiful like that.
It is. I mean, early this week I was over in Holland with a group of chefs and we went to see a radish grower, the humble radish. And I was getting seriously excited on about two things. One was the quality of the soil that it was grown on. And I just wanted to lie in this soil and roll in it like a fucking dog. And just looking at these spectacularally perfect radish growing there.
Yep.
And it's like, it's only fucking radish at the end of the day. But it really excited me. Yeah.
Yep. When you talk like that, people that aren't in the industry think we're mad, right?
Because we fucking are.
Because we fucking are. That's right.
Yes.
Yeah. So loves all that. I think probably the work, just the grind. We were 7 days. It was tough. It was hard. That wore away after a while. So, and then had a situation where Jason and I were I guess doing most of the managing side of the business, and we were very close friends. And we were at the races one day together with our families, and he went home with his wife and didn't wake up the next morning. All of a sudden,
died.
Oh yeah, enormous guy, like 6'7", 6'8", amazing human being. But he died that night suddenly, and that was
That must have been tough on all sorts of levels.
it was
Personal,
incredible.
commercial.
Yeah, it was super tough. It was, but what that made me realise. We went through 12 months of just pretty much chaos. It was just really hard period of time. But
Shit show.
Yeah. And then, but it made me realise that we needed to have a plan and build up a middle management team, which we didn't really have at that point in time. So did that and built that up and had a clear exit plan.
So the problem became an opportunity.
It did,
Yeah.
but I still, there's not many days go by that I don't wish that had done it with
Yeah,
Jason.
exactly. Yeah.
That was sort of the that was sort of the end game. And to some degree, I think that's working with Jason and us together. That's what brought a lot of joy to it. And with Jason gone, I
That's
think
a nice way to put it.
yeah,
Yeah, joy.
yeah, it is. And then when he was gone, my joy, I guess, started falling off a cliff a fair bit. So, and those last sort of 3 years building that business to be able to be a sellable business, that was pretty tough too, because I don't think I think my passion had probably waned a bit given what had happened. And
So did you then, from what you said then, it sounds like you then sort of started getting the business ready to sell in terms of, tidying up the loose ends and what have you.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, setting up, structuring it in a way where it would be attractive for a buyer, having a middle management in place. It wasn't just all on key man, because learnt the lesson from what happened to Jason.
Sure.
Left such a big hole. But then, and that took time to structure that. So we needed a plan, and then in the end had an exit, which was good.
So what did that exit look like in terms of, did that involve you carrying on being involved with the business, or did you leave on, the time the deal was done, was that you done?
No, I was supposed to stay on for a couple of years afterwards, but it was all up front. So I think it was about six months in, and really at that stage,
You'd already left the building.
Heart's not in it. Left the building, and so I thought this is just not really going to work for the next 2 years. So I had nothing keeping me there, so it was time to move on. And that's what I did, and look where we are today.
So from the time that you finished with clams to when you started Fresho, what was the timeline? How long did it take?
Now you're starting to sound like my wife, Rob. She reminds me of this all the time. We were supposed to take a 6-month holiday, apparently, but it was about a week later we started Fresho. So.
Marvellous.
Yeah.
So, what was your What was your relationship like working with your dad? Because that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the family dynamic in the commercial situation. Was it even all the way through? Good, bad, indifferent, peaks, troughs? How did it pan
out? Really tough. Really tough. My old man and I were very, very close. I'd probably say at early stages of my life, we were best mates as well as father son. But during the journey of running a business together, and it was just fucking hard. Like it really broke down the relationship along the way. Over years. But I think
sort of a slow unravelling of the relationship.
Yeah, but I think it's probably
fucking great big row one day.
No, more.
There was a game changer.
I mean, there was plenty of those, but there was.
Yeah, but you can get over those.
Yeah, I think this gets back to the topic of succession, though, and lots of these family businesses and family partnerships in the food industry and whatever industry really, they just don't set up the business for success with succession, because it's not something that
it's a business
either unwilling,
that's successful, but they're not succession is not at rest.
They're either unwilling to acknowledge that there needs to be a succession plan, or just it's just something that is just completely forgotten about. Right? I'll never need that sort of mentality, right? Or we'll never need that. But I think parents have an obligation to set their children up for success as well. I think that's a critical thing. I think, and you get there's this balance that's required between, hard and soft. That when they're bringing kids into a family business. I mean, I've seen it go both ways. I experienced probably, I'd say, the pretty extreme on the hard side of things. I think.
Was your dad hard on you?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, he was really, really tough. Like, I would have days where I would come home after a 16-hour day and just I didn't think I had any energy left, but I'd just sit there crying.
That tough.
Yeah, that's tough because nothing was good enough, and it was pretty tough. And that's what I meant by the sort of fraying of the relationship. And I think
how did you at those moments when you were at home in tears, what were you thinking about in terms of your father? What did you think of him at that point?
There's always got to be a lot of respect, but I think when we probably get into some psychological stuff here, but probably need the old man to join us.
Tell me about your childhood.
That's right. Yeah. Look, there's always love there, but it's always like just a extreme frustration, and then like you start questioning when you're getting belittled's probably the wrong word, but when you keep getting knocked down, it like anyone, not just a father-son relationship, it does impact your confidence.
Yeah,
right.
Sure.
And then therefore impacts your ability to actually lead and run the business as well.
Believe in yourself.
Yeah. But in a lot of these businesses, how did the businesses get there in the first place? It's because the business owner was tough, hard, worked hard, and they a lot of them drive that into their children as well, which is great. I think that's really good, but it's got to be a balance, right? I mean, I've seen it go the complete other way. The ones that are way too soft on their kids, and where the factory opens at 2 a.m. and people need to be there, and I'm never ever late for an opening of our business hours, but you see some other kids, the parents just let them get away with everything when they're supposed to be leading, running the business, and they let sleep in or don't lead by example.
Yeah, and
that just actually sets them up for failure. And what it does is it sets the business up for failure. That's the key part.
That's right.
Is really hard.
I mean, speaking as a non-parent, I have my own sort of view on it, and I do see, not just in businesses but in families, where parents want to make it a little bit easier for their kids than they had it for themselves. I get that; it makes perfect sense. But you as you said, there is a point, there is a line it's a fucking hard world out there. In my view, a parent has to prepare that child or those children for that shitty world that's waiting for them.
Yep.
And being soft on them does not represent what the world's going to be like. And then when they're not there, then they're going to be in trouble. And at that point, the parent hasn't done the job. As I say, I am speaking as a non-parent, but I'm speaking as a child that had what I think great parents.
Yeah, and you're spot on in saying that. I think what it did, it drove me to work harder. Did it have implications? Sure, for our relationship, and then probably to some degree my self-esteem and my mental health. Sure, but it definitely drove me to work harder. And like I said, our relationship slowly broke down. Dad actually left the business for quite a few years, which was a good thing.
Yeah.
That was actually a good thing. Even though he didn't really give any warning, just did it one day.
Just one day didn't turn up.
But that was a good thing, because it allowed me to really have my own presence in that business, and that was a big step. That was a change in the relationship. But
did you handle that well enough, do you think? Because, like you say, it sounded like he just didn't turn up one day, so you were up front and centre, and you got to do it. Did you do it?
Yeah, I mean, I'd already been doing that anyway,
right.
so that wasn't really an issue. It was probably more, I think years later, he made a point of apologising to me for it was quite an emotional day, actually.
That's a big thing to do.
Apologising to me and for in his words, for never saying how proud he was of me and how good I was at what I did. And that was great to hear that along the way. But again, it gets back to the whole succession thing. It's just, you need good communication all along the way. You need openness. You need, it's no different to the characteristics that are needed to run a good business. Yeah. You need those to flow through to when you're talking about succession and when you're setting up the next generation for success, because otherwise it's damaging the business. And, I see it all over the world in these businesses. It's, rarely is it done well. Yeah,
and of course what you do get with family business, you get often a lot of emotion on steroids.
Correct.
And the worst decisions I've ever made in my life, and I'd wager most people, are emotionally driven decisions. Happy, sad, angry, take your pick. You'll make some pretty piss poor choices at that moment in time, and that's why I sometimes say, well, I can't sleep on that one. If you can do that, if you can just back off, count to 10, because generally you can make a pretty bad decision sometimes.
I think emotionally charged decisions are very likely to be the wrong decisions.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah. I think the fact that he apologised too, I think is, don't know the guy, but I like him already. No, I do, because it's too easy not to, and particularly if you'd had this sort of tough relationship where he was riding you quite hard, or very hard at times by the sound of it, to then actually reflect back and go, I think I need to say sorry here. I think that's impressive.
Yeah, it is. I think he knew. Look, reflecting on it, he knew he pushed, gone beyond the boundary. I think. And I sort of look at it, and you wonder why. I spend a lot of time wondering why, and I think, not so much in my circumstance, but I see it in other businesses. Sometimes you see the business owner is actually threatened by their children. It's in terms of are they going to be better than me? Are they going to grow this business to better?
I've never thought of that.
Definitely seen that.
Whether the older generation feels threatened by the younger generation.
For sure. Yeah. They do. Because there's a lot of pride in these businesses. I built this thing from the ground up. I got it to here. But sometimes that gets in the way of the next generation, and that I think there is a bit of feeling threatened for sure. And then you see it the other way when things have gone too soft, and the child is actually it's just never going to work them because they just don't have the skills, or they're not at the level they need to be at to take over the business. I think that starts fraying a relationship as well, because the parent, the business owner, can't give control to the child there, because they're going to destroy the business.
Did you Did you get involved with clams because you wanted to, or was there a degree of pressure from your dad to get involved?
Yeah, he's a very, very good salesman, and I think he got me on this one. I went to university, and I always wanted to be in finance and stockbroking, and did that for a week after university, and thought it was pretty bloody boring. So definitely wasn't what I thought it would be. And then I remember sitting down with the old man, and he said, "I'm going to sell this business if you don't come in." I look back on it now, and I'm like, no, you weren't. But he got me hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah.
So that was it. I quit my job at stockbroking, and in I went.
But you, to an extent, you knew what you get yourself into, because you said you've been involved with it since you were 12 years old, and
used to.
Yeah.
Yeah, used to do all the shit jobs. 12 years old. Used to catch a bus from home at 5 a.m. in the morning on Sundays, and go in and work all day, and on the weekends, every school holiday, all my mates are down the beach and having a jolly old time, and here I am, in a fish factory doing all the shit jobs, smelling of rotting fish the next day. Yeah, it's just.
But it gives you a work ethic.
100%. Yeah.
I've touched upon this at other times. Is like, if you ask most parents what's the one thing they want to give their children, generally the answer is, I want to give them a great education. But that's fine. But if you don't teach them a work ethic, it's of no value in any way, shape or form. There's a balance. I mean, ideally a great education and a great work ethic. I mean, you really are setting your kids up then. You're really giving them the tools to go out into life. But having no work ethic and think the money's going to fall off out the sky, no, it's not how it is.
I'm definitely in alignment on that one. It's for sure. I think, I look back now and I think that is one of the key things that Dad taught me, and just working in the food industry, not just taught me, but having to do those hard things. The hours are shit. Whether you're 12, 14, 16, whatever's going on there, you feel like you're missing out on so much at that age, because I was working really hard and in a shit job. But then looking back on it, it really did set me up for how I ran my business life and how I and my work ethic, as you said. I think that's critical.
Yeah.
I mean, these businesses, Rob, like if you don't have work ethic, the business is fucked.
That's
right?
it.
It's not like
That's
they don't run themselves.
Business. No, absolutely not. No, absolutely not. I mean, it's interesting you say you went to uni. I made a mistake, and I was probably allowed to make the mistake where I finished education at 16. My last exam finished at midday on the 19th of June 1979, and 90 minutes later I was at work on the farm. Thought it was great. But with the benefit of hindsight, and as you get older, there's probably a better way of doing that, possibly further education. Definitely go and work somewhere else.
Yep.
I mean, I've seen that with so many people where, fuck off, go and find out what it's like working for somebody.
Yep.
Experience different things, and then if you want to come back, then let's have a conversation then. I mean, I wouldn't change a thing. My bottom line is I can't fucking change it anyway, no. So it wasn't why worry about it. But right. I think, if I don't know, was there a better way of doing it? I don't know. I mean, I'm where I am today, and I'm okay with me. So does it really matter how you get there?
It's probably always a better way, but like you said,
yeah, that's true.
Can't do anything about it.
No,
so
that's right.
Why fucking worry about it?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So I guess with your children, you will take the lessons that you learnt with your father and incorporate that into the parenting of your children.
I think it's a great thing about what you learn from the parenting that you received is quite often not just what to do, but what not to do, right?
Yeah,
to pass on to your kids. And look, sometimes I catch myself and think I'm being way too hard on my kids sometimes, and I think that was probably part of my upbringing. But I like to think that I've got a lot more balance because of what I went through.
But what it sounds like though, but what you went through, it hasn't defined you. You've come out as James. That's it. You've benefited from those experiences to make you the guy you are today.
I'd say 100%.
Yeah.
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right?
I'm a huge fan of that one. Count me in for that, for sure.
Yeah.
So your father... I'm getting sort of mixed message on this one. On the one side, you said he was riding you very hard. But on the other side of it, you thought the world of him, respected him. But was there any really shitty moments where you really wanted to give him a slap around the face and go, this is way too much? Or conversely, did he want to slap you around the face? Come to that.
Oh, we had a lot of that going on. We used to punch on all the time. I remember, even when I was a little kid, he used to come and kiss me goodnight, and he really pissed me off one time. So he'd come up the stairs, but I thought, I'm going to get him on this one. So I put all pillows in my bed, made it look like there was a body in there sleeping, and I hid behind my door. And he came in about an hour later. I remember I waited so long, and he came in. And I jumped out from behind. He bent down to kiss me. I jumped out from behind the door and bang, 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 gave him a few, and then ran away. And as I'm running away down the stairs, I think, oh fuck, what have I done? So I ran out the front door and all the way down the street. And I was petrified of what was going to happen for that one. But
so weren't you just doing that for a bit of a prank or a bit of a
a
joke?
bit of fun.
Yeah.
But we had quite a bit of physical relationship, not like not abuse sort of thing.
Yeah.
It was just. We used to just muck around all the time and have a wrestle, have a little box, and but plenty of moments where you need to get some of that frustration out. Yeah.
And if your dad walked through the door here now, how do you think he would reflect on it? I mean, he said sorry, but what would you think he would be saying about what it was like working with James? You said what it was like working with him. How would he perhaps describe working with you?
Oh, I think we've spoken about this. I think he'd reflect on it and say it was great, and we probably both of us didn't handle it as best as we could have. But there was still some amazing moments, and you just need to look at what the business that was built over that journey, and you can't do that if you're not working well together. That's
true.
So. But I think he would reflect on it and say that it was it was a great period, but so we could have definitely done things better.
But then, like you said earlier, we can always do things better. That's right, for sure.
Thanks to Fresho for sponsoring this episode. Fresho provides order management and AI order entry software that fresh food suppliers love. From automating how you receive orders to picking, pricing, delivering, invoicing, and payments, Fresho makes your business run better. And it's all backed with 24/7 support, so you get the help when you need it. To find out more, go to fresho.com.
Because I've seen various family businesses. One that I work with at the moment, father and son. Son's been involved now for about 5-6 years, something like that. But he went away, went to uni, worked in the insurance industry. And then his dad said to me, "Okay, he's gonna come and work with us." And I said, "If you've pushed him, you need to be horsewhipped." He said, "No." He's come to me and said, "Now's the time. It's right." And these two rub along really well, and they have this ability to, best described as, they keep out of each other's way. And sort of instinctively know, well, I'll take care of that and you'll take care of that. And then they come together when they need to. And it's a shining example of how a father and son can work together. Not in a soppy way, but the two of them are tough cookies. But there's a respect there. And I think if there's a respect, then you've got a fighting chance of it working.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a lot of trust there as well.
Absolutely, there is.
Keeping out of each other's way and that sort of thing. Yeah, I think that, and you need that because you need to create as a parent, you need to create the space for the kid to grow into that business and be the future leader of that business. So I think
for sure. And I'm just thinking about other businesses where there was one family business where there was sons and cousins involved, and there was no way either of the sons should have been involved in the management of that business. They were there because of their surname.
Yep.
And it was obvious it was so obvious for a long time that it was going to fail, and ultimately it did fail, because it was pure nepotism. Okay, then, well, someone can come in, be managing director or whatever it is, and it was just a joke.
Yeah,
such a shame.
You see that a lot. It's really interesting because quite often, especially in the bigger end of these businesses, you know, they're successful, wealthy family, you know, and then the children come into it or something. If they're not up to the level, and quite often they're miles away from the level, right? Then the business owner is actually doing a disservice to themselves by
That's
putting
right.
that, because you wouldn't give that person a job normally.
No, exactly. You wouldn't. If it was somebody else, you wouldn't hire them.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
and if you did, you'd fire them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you get that scenario, and we see that a lot, obviously.
Yeah.
Then you get the other one where there's no decision, and I think that's almost like worse, you know, because it creates this environment of, well, hang on, there's you know, you might have two brothers, as an example, started a business together, and then you've got a set of cousins underneath there, and then there's like 6 kids working in the business, and there's no clarity on what's the succession plan, what's going to happen, and that always turns to shit. I think,
that turns to the infighting then, and people playing the family politics, the internal politics in the business,
and they're not clear. You can imagine the team that's working in that business, like, who's my fucking boss?
Yeah, exactly. There's 6 of these fuckers walking around here. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah,
so that's the hard one, and then obviously you got the other extreme where, you know, it goes well and there's a clear, you know, there's a clear next generation that can take over and skilled, and there's a handover, and that all goes well. But, you know, I think that's probably the rarest thing that we see. Yeah. Yeah, definitely in this industry.
Yeah, I mean, something that's getting a little bit more popular now with family businesses is they have what's called a charter. It's like a memorandum of understanding, if you will, and they'll just write down the salient points. It's not a legally binding document, but because everybody signs up for it, at least then there's a basic framework to operate within. Then in the fullness of time they can formalise it, but I think it's a great starting point, and I would recommend it to any family, well, any business come to that, but family businesses to just set the parameters, set the level of expectation. Do you agree? Oh,
totally. I think I actually know a business that did that. And it really interesting. Out of that, you know, they had the this is like third generation now, but then they had all the cousins and all of that were there, and then they actually did this exercise, and they decided what came out of it is, you know what, none of the direct family can be the CEO and managing director of this business, and it's amazing, like big business. They got one of the son-in-laws, so not direct family, but, you know, he's married into the family. Yeah, and he became MD of this business.
Interesting choice, yeah. And everybody was happy with that?
Well, yeah, but part of the principles were decisions we make. Even if we disagree, we commit, and they all committed to it. You could see it. That's good, and it's been an amazing success. You know, and I think that. But again, that's people acknowledging that something has to be done about succession rather than nothing. You know, because they actually sat around a table, and it gave them the clarity to say, what do we need here? We don't have it here in this room. Let's look around. You know.
Yeah, that's a great idea. That makes an awful lot of sense. That does, yeah. Because if you bring the outsider in, then we're talking about emotion. It can take an awful lot of emotion out of the situation, because there's no they're not family, are they?
Well, it's that emotional decision making that we spoke about before.
That's it. You know? That shit emotional decision that we talked about. Yeah.
If you can remove that, I think it's a positive thing.
Yeah.
And then but it is all about the commitment. You can't have then, if someone's been elevated, you got to have the family's got to be fully supportive. That's left behind.
Yeah. And family businesses, if they are all pulling in the right direction, what a force to be reckoned with.
Almost unstoppable. Amazing.
Absolutely, because that emotion that we talk about, or if it is indeed emotion, if it's all channeled in the right way, I mean, like you say, almost unstoppable. And the opposite is also true, is that when it's going the other way and they're not pulling each other, it can be infinitely more destructive in a shorter period of time than it could be in a normal business.
I think that's exactly right. I think, and they're starting when you've got family in there, you're starting from a place of strength anyway, because you've already got the trust and
yes.
And people know each other well, and so I think in strengths and weaknesses, that sort of stuff. But like you said, when it unravels, it can go pear-shaped very quickly.
Yeah, and I've also seen in certain family businesses where 2-3 sons all working together, getting on great, and then they get married, or one of them gets married, and then another one gets married.
Yeah.
And these 3 people that are working along, happy as Larry, all of a sudden some problems start coming along, and it's not because from those 3. But it can be, and to be fair, it's true. If it could be daughters or sons, makes no difference. But the partner will then start having a little rabbit in their ear about, oh, I'm not sure you're working harder than that one. And something that's been completely accepted and ignored and everybody's been happy about then starts to turn into a little bit of an issue. And what the little issues become? They become big issues. Yeah. And you can have these external forces come into play that completely fuck up something that's been working particularly well. How'd you get around that one?
I've seen that one a number of times.
Yeah.
I think the key, you can't control that, because you can't control the whispers, in the bedroom or whatever it is from the partner, but what tends to happen there is that, sometimes when there's no clear communication between the partners that are working together, family members, then this stuff starts festering. So I think the only way to deal with this is for people to feel comfortable about bringing it up and saying, hey, I think I'm working harder than you,
because
but we're
my
getting
wife
paid
told
the
me.
same. That's, if you have the conversation, you might sit there and go, geez, that sounds fucking stupid, doesn't it? Did I just say that to my brother?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Airing issues is critical.
Talking.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Talking.
Yeah, I'm slightly off piece, but talking saved my life. I was in rehab, and there's no magic cure for alcoholism, but you can actually deal with it by talking about it.
100%.
I'm a huge fan of talking. Works for me. Works for me for sure.
Oh, look, I agree, and I had something similar. In this business, it took me to a nervous breakdown. Right, everything that was going on. Yeah, totally, and I'm not shy about it, but the only thing that got me through that was talking through it, being open about it, and being open about it at work as well. Because this industry, any sign of weakness is considered not a great thing, right? And I think that's why a lot of people ignore talking about these sorts of things. But I don't think that's right. I think the more you can talk about anything, any problem, then the more likely it is going to be easier to overcome.
Yeah, it's funny. I did a podcast a while back with a guy called Andrew Thorogood, and I forget something that cropped up, and I said, we are officially rock hard, and that's the way it is.
Yeah.
But actually, it's again, there's a better way. Just talk about it.
Yeah,
that's
just talk about it. Just get it out there. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a really, the one thing that we haven't spoken about, which this reminds me of, is the part where you've got a son or a daughter or 3 sons, whatever it might be, and they're working in the business, and they're, the old man might have put them in line to take over, is getting them ready for it, to lead the business and take it over, but they don't want it.
Yeah, exactly.
And they don't speak up. They don't say anything.
Yeah, they just think, I'm going to do this.
Yeah, and they fucking hate it. Every day they go to work, they don't like it. It's not what they saw their life being. I know plenty of situations like that. And that all comes about because they didn't speak. They didn't speak up. They didn't say what they were feeling. And then 20 years later, what's the emotion that's left? It's just pure resentment.
Resentment, which can develop into hate sometimes.
Yeah, totally.
Which is really, resentment's one thing, hate's something really quite nasty.
Yep. So again, you get around a table and speak about succession openly, are you going to avoid all these problems?
Yeah. I think then the message that's coming out of this for our listeners is that just talk about it.
Yep.
That's it. It's not difficult. Be open with each other. Be honest with each other. Talk about it, and don't try and solve it all in one go.
No.
Even just have the conversation about, should we have the conversation, if you know what I mean.
I think it's exactly right, and treat it like you would if your business just lost your second biggest account. You would sit down as a family group and go, right, what you'd have an emergency meeting. You'd sit down, you go through it all, or or if there was any major event in the business, or there was a decision or business problem. So just treat it like a business problem. Get the brains of the family around and have a chat, talk through it. What are we going to do here? What do we think? Speak openly. Do you want to be involved here? But things get in the way though, like things like pride and those sorts of emotions. But
I think that illustration you're doing there is that just view it as another business challenge that you would talk about. Like you say, lost second biggest account. Okay, we're going to talk about it. What's the success going to look like, or our relationship? Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
I think that's a brilliant way of putting it, because we can all relate to that.
That's right.
Just put it.
It doesn't need to be this big scary thing that we don't know how to deal with that.
Yeah.
Well, you fucking do. It's a business problem. Just sit down and talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I suppose it's like a lot of things in life. It's you got to pick your time when you say it as well. It's sometimes not what you say; it's when you say it.
Yeah,
you can say all the right things at all the wrong times.
Yeah, it's very true.
In all aspects of life, that's for sure. Anything you do different with the benefit of hindsight in terms of the family business and the family dynamic? Not that you can actually fucking change anything. I get that, but just indulge yourself for a moment.
I think always could have taken the emotion out of discussions, had more constructive conversations along the journey rather than let things get to boiling point and then things explode. And I think it's always good to have somebody else involved. So for a long time, between my dad and myself, we had George, who was Dad's original partner, and he's like an uncle to me. Very close, and he was a mediator, and the voice of calm, which was great. So having that, I think, is bringing someone else in to the conversation is good.
Oh, you mentioned earlier that you had George there that sort of acted as the mediator, perhaps sometimes the peacekeeper between you and your dad. Is the mileage there to bring other people in, creating a different type of structure to help the family dynamic?
I think there definitely is, particularly in a larger size business. I think outside of day-to-day operations, there's scope to bring external people into the business at a board level.
Yeah.
So we did that. And it's good rather than just sitting around a table. I've seen plenty of other businesses do it as well, but just sitting around a table and just having board meetings with family members is an ideal. I know some very large businesses where even their chairperson on the board is not one of the family members. It just keeps some order, some calm, takes the politics out of it. And then they have some independent directors that are not family members. I think that's very helpful. Gives another voice. And again, I think people behave differently from an emotional perspective when there are non-family members in the room.
That's a great point. But I mean, it doesn't actually, if you think about it, it doesn't have to be businesses that are big and of a certain scale. Bring a George in. Oh, exactly. Just bring a George into the conversation.
Yeah, I mean, you can bring anyone. It doesn't have to be a board meeting. You can say, "Hey, we want to catch up once a month and talk through some business problems." And you can have an advisor or a consultant or a friend or whatever it might be, but just bring them in.
Somebody that everybody's agreed to. We'll have this third person in the room or this extra person in the room. As long as everybody's happy with that particular person.
Well, that's a key point, because I think it's got to be somebody that everybody in that room, all the family members, have respect and support for, and are behind the appointment of that person, because you can't have one family member appointing someone and no one else thinks they're a good contribution to the business.
Yeah, that's a great point about bringing in other people. For balance and perspective.
I think that's
okay. That's great. Do you think George ever felt a bit on the outside because you got two from the same family and George?
Possibly. I think,
but not a big
we
deal.
were very close. We're all very close.
Like you say, you've referred to me like almost like an uncle. So
so we're all very, very
sort
close.
of de facto family.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then we had Jason come in, and so there was four of us. But I guess, and I don't think. Look, I can't speak for George, but I don't think so.
No. Well, you certainly have a feel for it. Definitely. Not uncommon in businesses whereby you've obviously got the different generations there. You've got the next generation just arrived, and then there could be one or two other generations involved in the business. What's the best way for them to address that mix of youthful, fearless enthusiasm on the one side and the experience that's on the other side? Because it's a problem.
Absolutely, and I'm laughing because this is the biggest source of conflict, right? You've got and you want to harness that youthful enthusiasm that you just described, but also with the old stable thinking of people that have been there, done that in this business, but quite often we see the younger generation being very gung ho and very want to experiment with new things, want to try this. We can do things better. Is that you hear that all the time. We can do this a different way. And then you see the older generation often say, "Well, hang on, we've built a fucking amazing business here. We haven't we've been doing it the same way for 30 years. It's great. We're making good money. What do we want to do that for?" Right?
It's a fair question.
It is a fair question. But again. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm saying, but there is a but.
There's a but. I think it's about just having the different generation or the younger generation come into the business, and working the business isn't enough because I often see that they're in the business and they've got this youthful enthusiasm, but all the decision making is still with the owner, right, and the older generation. So. You spoke about some principles earlier, which I think is great. If you introduce some principles around decision making, so that there is a way for the younger generation to be heard and to have a voice, and then a framework for the older generation to consider, the benefits and the pros and cons of it.
It's almost pitching your idea, isn't it?
It is. But again, just bring it back to a normal business problem. And if you're going to do that, then sit around a table and have a fucking talk through, right?
Don't talk about it.
Talk about it. Why would we do it? Why wouldn't we? I reckon most of the time these things happen on the fly, and that's why the communication's poor because it's really busy, or we're having a bad day, and our picking and packing line's broken down, and the vans are 3 hours behind schedule getting out. So what's the younger generation going to do? Say, this is fucked. We can do things so much better than this. Right? Wrong time to be bringing that.
Absolutely, yes. You've got to solve the fucking problem there and then.
But also, that's not what your old man wants to hear there and then. Right? I think, and again, that's that maturity of being able to say, okay, hang on, we think we can do things differently. Let's have a sit down, or let's at our weekly catch up or monthly catch up. What it is, here's what we want to do and why, and then how can we give comfort to the older generation of to trial this. It doesn't have to be, we're not changing the whole business. You might not have to change the whole way you do one particular part of your operations, but you could say, okay, these for example, you could say these two pickers, they're going to trial this. See how it goes. Give me some feedback. Because quite often the older generation might want to hear from independents. All right? And those pickers might have been working for the business for 20 years. Johnny, tell me, what do you really think about that? And if Johnny turns around and says, it's a fucking good idea and it's working really well, boss, guarantee you they're not going to say no to the younger generation then.
Yeah, that's right. It's, I mean, when I was a kid, I'll still do it now, but reading the financial pages when I was a kid, and I could never work out why the boards and these public companies were all these crusty old bastards that were minimum 60 years old up to fucking 85.
Yeah.
And when I got to 60, I worked it out because you just know lots.
That's right.
You fuck me, you've been around the block that many times. As long as you kept your ears and your eyes open, then you're going to say, and that's the part that the older generation can play, just the benefit of experience. But if you can tie that in with the fearless approach of youth, fucking hell, I mean,
That's a powerful
it's
thing.
scary
Right?
stuff.
If you can
isn't it?
connect those two,
Yeah.
that's a real wow moment for a business, I reckon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can remember, there was pearls of wisdom my father gave me, and I think, shut up, you stupid old bastard.
Yeah.
But I've got to his
We
age.
all did it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And fucking hell, he was right.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things. And if we can just all, if the older generation can respect the younger generation for their viewpoint on it, and vice versa, and it's a simple rule. Just listen, be respectful to the opinion,
and the timing of it, and the way that you just use the word pitch before pitch the idea. Well, pitch it smart, pitch it well, pitch it in a way that's not, that's respectful of the older generation.
Yeah.
I guess no difference if you're going to a big hotel account and there's a big group of pubs and the owner's in his 60s, and you've got one of the young generations going there to try and do a deal. You would adapt your behaviour and the way you approach the pitch for that person.
That's absolutely right. Yes.
Do the same thing within your business, right?
Yeah. That's a great way of doing it. Yeah, you do, because I can walk into me and I can either be having a conversation with somebody who's 25 or 65, and subconsciously I'm changing the way I'm going about it.
Of course, because you want to get through to them.
Yeah. Yes, that's it. I want to get my message across.
Yep.
And it's absolutely no different in the family business.
Exactly.
But I don't know whether you subscribe to this, but I'm a big believer in the older I get, the better I get. Because of miles on the clock and experience. And why I thought my old man was talking total bollocks when he was giving me these pearls of wisdom, I don't know, because I now know that he was actually, a lot of what came out of his mouth made absolutely perfect sense. But I wasn't listening at the time.
I think that's definitely true. I feel the same way. The older you get, the better you get. But I think it's that the way to get the most out of that is if, as you've gone through your life, you've got a growth mindset and you're willing to accept and take on new ideas and new challenges.
Yeah.
You're not just this closed shop of, no, this is how I've always done it. That's it, right? I think if you learn along the way, then you absorb all that experience, then 100% you're going to be better as you're older.
Oh, yeah, I'm a big fan of jump on the surfboard, ride the wave, and let's see where it takes us. If I'm standing up when it comes out the other end of the wave, great. If I fall off, well, tell you what, I won't fall off next time.
Well, that's right, because you have to make mistakes. And this is the thing about the younger generation. Again, you flip it on its head. The older generation's got to be mindful that the way they learn, the fastest way for them to learn is actually to make mistakes.
Correct, absolutely.
And then reinforce from what went wrong there? What happened there? Did you learn from it?
Yeah.
You can't have expectations where there's never going to be any mistakes.
No, and approach it very simply. Nothing ever goes wrong that we can't put right.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what's the problem?
Yep.
Everyone's a winner.
Yeah, exactly right.
Although this has been a different type of podcast to what we normally do, I can't let you get away without answering the question.
I've heard about the question.
The question. Yeah. So, which restaurant that you've been to, anywhere in the world, would you like to go back to, and why? It can be anywhere.
There's a bit of a story around this one, so
Okay.
I'm going to take you through a story. So it's a restaurant in Melbourne. It is called Attica. It's one of Australia's most famous restaurants. Ben Shuri, chef and owner, one of Australia's most famous chefs. Was in the top 100 for many years. So Ben was a mate of mine. I was supplying him with seafood, and Ben he's written about this and speaks about this very openly, but his level of passion for the food that he produced, I've never seen anything like it. Like it's extraordinary. But it took a toll, was taking a toll on him. He was going through a bit of a rough patch, and he one morning, my business partner Jason had arranged to pick Ben up and take him out to a mussel farm. And Ben described it to me that he was lying in bed and thought, I don't want to do this. I don't want to get out of bed. I'm not feeling great. I'm not having a great time at the moment. But he pushed himself. He said, no, I've committed to it. I've got to go. Went with Jason, picked him up, took him out on the jet ski, went out to a mussel farm with Lance, the guy that owned the mussel farm. And they spent a day out there, beautiful morning, sun was coming up, eating mussels straight from the ocean. And Ben describes it as a life-changing moment for him. And that's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
So that's the backstory there. Yeah. And then go to Attica, which is Ben's restaurant. We spent 8 hours, right, for a dinner. I'm not fucking kidding. Like 8 hours. It was started off Ben taking us through his gardens, and the level of passion is just crazy. Then we're having dinner and finished off in next door in Ben's experimental kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
And during the meal, Ben created a dish, a very famous dish of his, that had the mussel shell and actually had a portrait of Lance's face, the mussel farmer on the back. It was really cool, really cool. But then after dinner, we're in the experimental kitchen, and there's a group of us, and we're talking. Ben's talking through the whole day and showing a video of the day as well. And my business partner Jason had passed away at this time, and very suddenly. So it was a very emotional, like I'm talking off the charts emotional. Yeah. We were all just in uncontrollable, tears, flowing, and that was the end of the 8 hours. But the whole thing was just the emotion that we had that night was just incredible. And so that comes to mind, but for the reason that I'd like to go back there with Jason, who triggered a lot of the emotion that night, because he'd passed away, and he wasn't able to be there, and I would have loved nothing more than to have had him there with me and enjoying that moment with Ben.
Yeah, wasn't expecting that answer. I've really enjoyed this conversation.
Me too. It's great. Something that's not spoken about enough in this industry.
You're right. You're absolutely right. And hopefully it can benefit. If it only benefits one family business that hears this and gets the ball rolling, then I think we've done a half-decent job here today.
I think so as well. Definitely.
James Andronis, thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
Thanks, Rob.
Thanks for listening to Supplied. Please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and follow Supplied Podcast on Instagram, where we'd love to get your questions and suggestions for future guests. See you next time.